Hey listeners, Dan Harris here, host of the 10% Happier podcast. Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible Originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Harris or text Harris to 500-500.
The weather is cooling down a bit. The leaves are starting to fall. Yes, it's that time of year again, football season. And we all know the best part of any game day traditions are the ones that involve food. There's nothing like having everyone in your game day crew coming together to bring their best bites and argue over whose family makes the best chili. And while there's no need to mess with the perfection of game day classics, like a freshly grilled Oscar Mayer hot dog topped with Heinz ketchup and mustard, it's always fun to step out of your comfort zone and get creative with your recipes. Because there's nothing more fun than adding to your list of game day traditions, like making a creamy and delectable queso dip with Velveeta cheese that can be eaten with so much more than just chips. Now is the chance for people across the nation to find out whose game day eats reign supreme. It's your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food tradition to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Tom, this is a special show today.
Okay.
Now, I know you think you're the best looking guy in hockey, post hockey today.
Well, is there somebody better?
Well, today there is. And my sister Lori had a huge crush. I think my mom probably did too.
I know who this is.
We got Ron Duguay today.
Oh, God, not him. Good thing this is just an audio version where there's no video, Doogs. How you doing, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well, and I got all dressed up for you, thinking it was video.
Yeah. Do you remember we went back and we started our other show that we did on Thursdays? The first show we did. Dukes was in his bedroom. He's got the hot maid in the background, the whole bit. And oh God,
that was just a prop, Tommy. That was a prop.
I know. No, you were good.
I knew you would appreciate it.
Yeah. I've got to tell. I have to tell my quick Ron Duguay story, and then we'll get into the interview. Okay, so. When you turn pro, the older players are there, like Carol Vadney was good with me, give me pointers and everything like that. A lot of the old guys come up and give me pointers on and off the ice. And so Dukes and I, Dukes was a really quiet guy actually when he played. He's got a big mouth now, but so we were sitting on the bus one night after a game, and Dukes sat behind me and he taps me on the shoulder. I'm thinking, now Dukes is going to talk to me. Ron Duguay is going to talk to me. This is a major moment in my life here. I should maybe take this or something. So he leans forward and he goes, Tommy, sleep's overrated. You only need 2 hours of sleep every night. Do you remember doing that? I don't know if you probably don't.
I don't, but words of wisdom there as a young man.
Yep. Right. I've tried to do my best.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, I think I was convincing myself
that
was okay at the time, because you know how people talk about preparation on doing stuff, you mentally prepare.
Yeah,
and if you can think about things in a certain way, it'll be okay. So back then I was convinced that less sleep is okay. Yeah. I'll catch up when I get older.
Sleep when you're dead, right? Sleep when you're dead. All right. So listen, so you grew up in Sudbury, Ontario, correct?
Yes, near Sudbury. Actually north of Sudbury. It was kind of in the valley of Sudbury and small communities. And but yeah, the big town of Sudbury. I ended up there only after I ended up playing junior hockey for the city of Sudbury, which was the Sudbury Wolves.
Right. So now, did you start off like really young, 6 years old, something like that? You put a pair of skates on?
No, most of us, it's three. I mean, yeah. Because, our parents back then, wanted to make sure that we're going to have an opportunity to be a hockey player. So as early as possible, right? It was like outdoing our neighbors, right? My son is 3 and he's playing hockey. So I don't remember it, but I know that I was told I was 3. Then by the age of 4, I was actually playing on a team.
Right. Were you pretty good at that age? You start off like being that boy wonder?
I would, if you were to come to my house, I have trophies for every year from the age of 4 on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
not to brag, but yeah, I was blessed with having size and quickness.
Yeah.
And when you have quickness, you separate yourself from everyone else. And you can see that in the NHL now, the guys that are quick.
Sure.
It's just, you don't even have to be great, but if you're quick, you create opportunities for yourself.
Yeah. You can handle the puck too. So, did you play any other sports, or is it just hockey?
Well, from where in Canada, I'm way up north. So you have an opportunity to play baseball maybe 2 months in the summertime. Yeah. And I did a little bit of soccer, but that was it. And the thing is, I didn't mind just taking the summer off and really not doing much of anything.
Right. Now, you're a good athlete, though. And that's the one thing people don't know enough about you, that you're just a good natural athlete. That's what I see when I look at you. Right.
Well, thank you. If someone asked me, who do you think are the most athletic athletes or sports athletes? Right. And to me, it's hockey. To be able to even just skate the way we skate without even putting the stick in your hand and playing the game, it requires athleticism. So I think a lot of us are pretty good at doing most sports, other than, I don't think you're a good golfer, right?
No, the world's worst golfer. Terrible. Oh God. I got the Charles Barkley swing, right? That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, plus you have the hands of a defensive defenseman.
Hands of stone. You're being very diplomatic today, aren't you? It's hands of stone. You kidding me?
No, I don't want to say it that way. You were effective. You knew where the glass was, off the glass and out.
Yeah. That's true.
Really pumping your tires here. You were effective.
I know, effective. Yeah, like you said before, it's like saying
you're pretty for a fat chick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a good player growing up all along. You're playing in travels teams, and all of a sudden now you're drafted by the Sudbury Wolves. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I didn't start doing any travel stuff until the age of 12. Right. So until the age of 12, it was outdoor hockey, playing in an outdoor rink, which my dad, in our little community of 100 homes, and we had several of those, like 6 of them, little communities, 100 homes, and we play off against each other. And my dad was the president of the association, which was making sure that we had ice and the boards and all of that. So I say that because I have fond memories of being with my dad and working the rink and flooding the ice and all of that. So until the age of 12, it wasn't until then, I think, the first indoor rink was built in my area. So then once that was built, then the communities decided to put an all-star team or a travel team that played in the valley. So I was 12, and that's when I started playing with what they would call an all-star team. And by the time I was 15, major junior drafted underage. So I was drafted at 15 underage by the Sudbury Wolves, which was my hometown, which was a blessing to me because I didn't have to leave. I was not ready to leave home like a lot of players have to do. To leave my mom and my home at the age of 15, I don't know if the outcome would have been the same, but to be at home, play all 4 years of major junior, and then by the time I was 19, 20, I was ready to play in the NHL.
Sure. Isn't it funny thinking back when you're 15, now the life that you have, when you think back when you're 15 or 16 years old and you didn't want to leave home, like now you're never home, right? You're gone all the time.
Yeah. No, well, you even look at our kids, right? Would they have been ready? Like any of my kids ready to leave home at 15? No, absolutely not. And back then, that's what we would do. And some players would thrive off of it, right? And maybe they're in a big family and they didn't have their own room and they didn't have this. And then all of a sudden they go somewhere and they have more space, more opportunities to do things. Some kids liked it, but the ones that let's say a little bit spoiled, they just wanted to stay home.
Yeah, no kidding. How many children do you have yourself?
I have 3. My 2 first are girls, and then my son Noah, who you met.
Noah's a good kid.
And so 3, and then I have 2 kids that are stepkids, 2 boys from my wife Kim Alexis, and now I have 5 grandkids thanks to my daughters.
Oh, very good. Very good. Nice. All right. So you go to Sudbury, you have 4 years there. Things obviously go pretty well for you. You're scoring a lot of goals.
You know what? It's when I look at my pace as a junior player, it's almost the same as when I played in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first year as an underage, I scored 20 goals. Right. And then my first year as a New York Ranger, scored 20 goals. Right. And it kind of gradually built from there, 20, 27, 28. And then I got into the 40, 45. Right. It's almost the same as the NHL. The pace is about the same thing. The amount of goals, the amount of assists. And it was in my third year as a junior where there's a few records back in Sudbury where I crushed it. I was on a good team. I was, I can't remember the point total, but I got a bunch of points and I finished in the top 5 in the league. And that's when I got drafted first overall. I could have gone as an underage. And that's when that year that I was ready to go into WHA, that's when they changed the rule of no more drafting underage. So then I had to wait an extra year.
Yeah, Ron, you had 42 goals, 92 assists, and 134 points. Not a bad season.
Yeah. Yes.
That was my career right there.
Yeah.
Not the 42 goals.
Yeah, it's 42 goals. Didn't get many.
Yeah.
So you were a first round draft pick? That's right. To the Rangers.
As a junior, major junior, first round pick.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
So what round pick were you with the Rangers then?
First round.
Okay, that one.
Yeah,
okay.
13 overall. Everyone reminds me of this. You know why I went 13 or why they remember 13?
I know why.
Why?
Well, guess who went after me that scored a ton of goals, played for the Islanders?
Oh, Trache or Bossy?
Bossy.
Oh, is that right? He went after you? Oh.
He went 16. So the Rangers could have had him.
Right. Oh. Was he that good in junior? Do you remember him?
Yeah. It's just that back then, you know how the game was played.
Yeah, roughly. That's right too.
Junior hockey was the same as the NHL. Yeah. It was like we were like gladiators on ice, bench clearing brawls, up in the stand. It was the exact same thing. So, you know, with Bossy, you know, I don't think he's ever gotten a fight in his life. Yeah. So they were probably thinking, how's he going to adjust to the NHL?
Yeah, he adjusted all right.
Yeah, well, the Islanders knew that they had Clark Gillies and they had Brian Trottier. They can put him on that line.
Sure. And you had Bob Nystrom there to protect him as well, and other guys. Yeah, no question. Yeah. So then, okay, so you still had 1 year of junior eligibility left when you turned pro. Is that correct?
No, what I'm saying is that I could have. That's when they changed the rule. So I was drafted I was 19 years old when the draft, and then by the time I got to New York, I had just turned 20.
And you didn't go to the minors at all, right? You came right to the Rangers.
Right to the Rangers, scored 20 goals my first year, playing with Steve Vickers, Walter Tkachuk.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now at this point, I mean, obviously you're off ice. You're off ice legend. Let me put it this way: is that pretty accurate to call? Like Page 6, Studio 54, right?
Some people refer it that way. Legendary.
Yeah.
I don't like to kind of look at it that way because I'd rather be legendary on the ice.
Yeah. Well, I think you were both. I've had this conversation with other people. In fact, I think you and I were at an event one time where somebody questioned, that if you didn't do so much off ice partying, would you have played better? And I said to him, well, you don't know Ron Duguay then, because you were a great teammate. You showed up on time to play. You had your fun. We all had our fun. It just your fun was on Page 6, right? That was the difference. Our fun was not on Page 6 all the time.
Right. Well, and you know how they exaggerate most things anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So they made it appear like I was partying hard. I mean, I would in certain days. I would. My Monday nights were the best nights for me. Sunday night, Monday night, and that's when I felt like that's the time to go. And then you didn't have Donnie Murdoch as a teammate.
No, I did not. No.
Yeah. So Donnie was I was his wingman because he was a year older.
Right.
And so we would party, but I always had boundaries, I like to think. And so I partied hard. It was fun. It's just that, when you're seen on Page 6, then it appears like you're going harder. I think I go harder now than I did then.
Right. But didn't they want you, like the Rangers and Sonny Werblin? Didn't they want you out there? That was what they wanted.
Yeah. So Sonny had Joe Namath, right?
Yeah.
And he actually told Joe, listen, I want you to be great on the field, but also go out and just be seen, because it creates eyes, attention. And if you can take what you're doing off the ice and take it on the field and people are watching you. So he had Joe Namath. That was a success. So I was kind of Joe's. If you look at this, do you remember the Penthouse magazine? Well, of course, the Penthouse.
Yeah.
But the Forum, the little.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but that was on the cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you Google that, it's me with 5 or 6 penhall girls
On it.
And anyways, the title was the son of Joe Namath, Ron Duguay. So yeah, so Sonny Warblin, I can remember him having this kind of a not a serious conversation, but he kind of referred to Joe and just go have fun but perform.
Right.
And because he's the guy that because I was struggling to do my second contract in my third or fourth year, and then that's when he got involved and he signed me really quick, and I had to end up having a 7-year contract. So things didn't change until our buddy Herb showed up.
Oh, I know. So, but going back, when you came in as a young guy, your rookie year, were you out partying right away? Like that was your lifestyle at that point?
I was comfortable with it because in my hometown, I was somewhat of a celebrity there because I was doing really well. And, we're not 18, 19. We're going out. We're having fun.
Yeah.
And so, and then you're figuring out how much partying can you do with still performing.
Right.
And so I had fun as an 18, 19-year-old. And part of that is just that's how players come together. You go out and experience stuff. And so going to New York, I was not intimidated by it. It wasn't too big for me. It wasn't like I would go to a lot of different places. I'd have my few locations I would go to. And of course I had Rod Gilbert, who was there, who was right in the middle of all of it. And so I was comfortable with it. I was, I love dancing, of course, love the music. So studio was all about that.
Studio 54. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, before we talk about that, you obviously, Ron, you have legendary hockey hair, but how did Sonny Warblin let the boys give you that initiation in your rookie year?
Well, I don't know who decided that my hair was going to be the thing that they wanted to do on me, but I think back then they shaved a lot of guys across the NHL. So that happened in December, a week before December. Actually, it's almost to this day where I got initiated. If I was to go back, I bet you any money, it's right around today.
Right.
Where
it happened? Where was it, Doogs? Where was it?
It was at Playland.
Oh, it was. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So we were having practice at Playland. And for whatever reason, I don't know why I stayed out. Normally I'm off the ice first, right? Because I got things to do.
Yeah. Places to go.
Yeah. So for whatever reason that day, I was on the ice to the end. And I don't know if Nick Fotillo tricked me, having me feed him some pucks so he can shoot from the red line.
Right. It's a wrist shot. Yeah.
Yeah. And so him and I are last. And so just as I get to the door of the dressing room, Nicky grabs me from behind. And he's behind me, grabs me from behind, almost in a headlock.
Right.
And as I opened the door and I opened the door and there was the table, right? It was all set.
Oh.
And so he grabs me from behind. And that's when the guys kind of came and charged me.
Right.
And my first response, which I think Carol Vadney was one of the first guys to come at me. Right. Do you know that I had my skates on? I threw a boot at him.
Oh, did you really?
I did, to have him back off. Like I was thinking, because if I fight off the ice, the boots, I'm booting you.
Right.
And so I was forgetting I had skates on. I threw a boot at him. I did, it's probably 3 feet away.
Right.
And I think I actually took a swing at him with one of my hands.
So you were hot then. You were not accepting this.
Because I knew hey, listen, my hair. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Anything but my hair. And I knew they were going to go after my hair.
Right.
So I was fighting it as much as I can, thinking they may back off. Oh no. So I don't know if I just decided just to give in. I probably just gave in because then they put me down. They strap you down to the table, your hands and ankles and all that. And then I don't know if you remember that. You played in that dressing room, right?
Yes, you played line. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember this, but the above the ceiling wasn't complete. You can see the pipes, the water pipes. And so I remember they threw a
skate lace?
Skate lace above it, down.
Oh no!
And then they lasso your penis. Where someone's got the other piece of the cord. Where if you move, it's getting yanked.
Yeah, something's coming off. So the two things you need the most: your hair and your penis, right?
Well, not in that order, but
right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I managed okay without the hair. That's when I started wearing hats.
Oh,
Well,
God.
then of course
I was so embarrassed of what I looked like because I was just not used to seeing myself that way.
Yeah.
and of course, Ron, your rookie card comes out that year, and you're buzzed.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They take my picture in January. In January, that's when they're taking pictures, and I'm looking the way I did. I look at that card, and it's kind of a profile picture.
Yeah.
And I look like, well, if you look at my eyes are purple, look like I've been partying all night. It's not a good look, but it's a unique card now.
Right.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. We got it here. Okay, so we get the initiation done, but the first year was pretty successful. For you both on and off the ice, correct?
Yes. Well, that's what allowed me to feel free to go because I was performing on the ice. I mean, I scored 20 goals my first year. That's pretty good. I think maybe 45 points, 50 points, somewhere in there. So I felt like, you know what, I got this. I'm okay. And no one's complaining. I'm working hard. And in fact, Jean-Guy Talbot was our coach the first year. So there wasn't any complaints because they pretty much knew that we're all. The thing is, back then, everyone's partying.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Again, yours was just on page 6. Everybody was partying. The whole league was partying back then. So
yeah. I mean, I can remember sometimes they go in front of the net against guys that on the other opposing team.
Yeah.
And the breath on them, I'm like, oh my God, take a minute.
Getting drunk. You get drunk on the ice from the breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. You hear the old stories about the Philadelphia Flyers and the Broad Street Bullies. They were in the bar every day. They wore the black armbands the day their bar burnt down. So
yeah. Well, you want to go back to training camp? You know what training camp was like for me my first year. So I show up, and that's when Esposito, Don Ori, let me say the guys. Well, Maloney and Gress and all that. You have the younger players, but Steve Vickers is there, Espo, and I'm trying to think of one other guy.
Pat Hickey? Pat Hickey?
Oh, yeah, Pat Hickey was there.
Right.
But like 3 of them, the trainers come in and they give them their bag. And we're just gotten there. So they get in their bag, and they hadn't opened up their bag yet from the season before.
Sure, yeah.
They hadn't been on the ice yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Because I'm going 100 miles an hour all summer.
Yep.
And so they're actually using training camp as their day one of training.
Yeah, definitely.
So then you step on the ice, and I'm trying to make the team. And 30 minutes into it, I get a tap on the shoulder from Espo. And he says, Doogs, let me tell you something. You need to slow down. You're making us look bad.
Oh.
And so I said, okay. So I get through practice, and JD was on the team. John Davison. JD calls a team meeting. Okay. Where are we going? We're going to the Timothy Tubbs, I think it was called. It was a bar in Long Beach. Practice was Long Beach.
Okay.
So we called team and go over there. I'm thinking it's a meeting. Well, the meeting was we're having drinks. And this is around 1:00 in the afternoon.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And this is day one of training camp. And by 5:00, well, everyone is lit up.
Oh, yeah.
So the married guys go home to their wives, go for dinner. And I think it was Dave Maloney, Gresh. They say, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going home, taking a nap, and then we're going back out for another meeting. And I'm thinking, and this is day one of training camp.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and we did this for 3 weeks.
Oh, I know. Oh,
yeah, and I thought, okay, I think I'm going to like this league. And so when you look back then, all the teams are doing it, and that's why it wasn't until January that the pace would pick up.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh. Training camps were a blast. Training camps were a blast. I used to love training camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than this one thing, playing against Philly.
Oh, I know.
In training camp.
Oh,
and I kind of had an idea what it was going to be like, but I had no idea what it was really going to be like once you get on the ice and there's a bench clearing brawl. And if you don't have the right partner, yikes.
Oh, I know.
It's a long 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever long that brawl is. And I ended up in my first one, Dave Hoyda.
Oh, he was tough.
And I ended up hooking up with him.
Wow.
And so that's when Nick Fatia was going around and fighting everybody.
Right.
And,
but you were tough yourself, though, dude. Did you do all right in that fight?
Well, so with Dave Hoyda, So we lock on, right? And I think he senses that. I'm a big guy. I think he senses my strength. He doesn't quite know me, so he doesn't really try anything.
Oh,
He's just holding me, and I'm holding him because I kind of knew who he was.
sure.
And so I'm thinking, because I've been through brawls at the junior level. So the thing is that if you're going to start, you have to kind of play possum a little bit. Yeah. So I remember holding him. I had the grip on him and staying calm and relaxed, because once it starts, because you can't have tension in your body because it'll tire you out. Because I remember he would kind of looking around. He wasn't saying anything to me. And I'm like, I'm just going to be ready. Just be ready.
Yeah.
We were probably like that for about 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
And then towards the end, he decides to try to unlock and try to hit me. Oh. And if you go back to look at that brawl in 78, I end up, because I was strong enough, I was able to take him. I think I swung at him and I just took him down.
Right.
And then the officials came around. But this is I just turned 20. Yeah. And you're trying to figure it out. So, and him and I fought one more time at some other game. Right. And see, I knew how to grab guys, and I had an idea how to fight.
Yeah, you were good.
But, so just being able to strategize is really important, because you got to, as you get hit in the chin, you're going down. So you got to keep your hands up. But if you had an opportunity to grab the guy early, you grab him early.
Sure.
And you could never show fear. Never show fear.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
None of that. Almost a little bit crazy. In fact, I think my first fight after that training camp, I fought Billy from the Islanders. Tall. Billy, what the heck's his name?
Carroll? Or Harris?
No, not Harris.
Dave Lewis? Billy?
No, the centerman. Tall, fast.
Oh, Bob Bourne.
Bobby Bourne.
Yeah.
I ended up that was my first fight.
Ooh, he could throw pretty good. He's lefty too, right?
Yeah. And so, but if you look at that fight, I knew that I had to change my mindset going to fight, because I'm actually a nice guy. I had to get into crazy. I had to get into crazy in my head.
Sure.
Just go crazy. And so I remember fighting Bobby, and I remember fighting him. I took him down, and I'm almost yelling at him as I'm fighting him.
Oh,
I wanted to let them know that I was a little goofy.
Sure.
Good. And so anyways.
Yeah. Good. All right. So you're going into your career. 1979, you guys go to the Stanley Cup Finals against Montreal. How was that for you?
Well, it was unexpected.
Right.
And I think we just made the playoffs that year. So what it was like for me, it was teammates.
Yeah.
How we became a band of brothers. We had fun that year. We partied, and it was just fun doing it with a group of guys that you really enjoyed doing it with. Sure. And so then, as you're winning, the momentum builds. Yeah. And I enjoy, because if you look at my numbers in the playoffs, I love playoff hockey, because to me, that's when you're actually playing for the Stanley Cup. And so I enjoyed it. I don't know if you know this, but I know Chris Kreider was fourth on the list with goals in the playoffs this past year.
For the Rangers, all time?
For the Rangers.
Okay.
And guess who number 3 was all time?
Ron Duguay.
All time. I had no idea.
Who's ahead of you?
Gotta be Leach, right?
Leach.
I think maybe was it Mess? Roger Gilbert? Maybe Roger Gilbert.
Yeah, they're probably them, yeah.
Roger Gilbert and someone else. Anyways, I was third until Kreider caught me. Now I'm fourth. The point I'm trying to make is I love playoff hockey. It brought the best out of me, and it was the experience of doing with a group of guys that we really enjoyed. And it happened early in my career, so you can have a feel for how hard it is playoff hockey, and to win, what it takes to win, all of what you go through. Yeah. And so it set me up for the rest of my career.
Yeah, you're Ron. You're tied with Adam Graves for fourth. Yeah. Just Messier, Kreider, and Gilbert ahead.
Wow. So you go to the Stanley Cup Finals that year and lose. Next year, is that the year that they traded for Barry Beck?
Yes.
It was, right? So traded 5 guys. Listen, Barry was fantastic, and he's a great friend of ours and everything. But that's kind of a little different, right? You go to the finals, and then you trade away 5 guys off that team for Barry Beck. Again, fantastic player, but that's a bold move.
It was. And what is it? Where can you point the finger on not doing it again the following year? Because when you go to the finals, you're that close.
Yeah. Totally,
you're maybe 2 players away.
Sure.
Right. and what gets you there. That's where these managers, I think more managers than coaches, they forget that the team bonding and character of your team.
Yeah, totally.
You may not have the best team on paper, but that's what got you there. Why would you want to break it up?
Yeah.
You know, nothing against Barry, because I love Barry. He's a great teammate. But it was it broke up the chemistry of the team.
Yeah. The whole culture, right? Yeah, like real character guys. Like, was it Pat Hickey, she and all those kind of guys who were
Lucien Deblois.
Yeah.
Mike McEwen.
Yeah.
Mike was a great defenseman.
Yeah, he is. He was a good player. He came back and played with us later on. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
Right. So then lose the first round that next year?
I don't think it was the first round. No, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know. It was not the first round.
Right. So then the big moment in your life, I come in the next year and play. Like, you're probably like, wow, I get to play with Tom Laidlaw, right?
Yes, it took me a while for you to allow me to warm up to you.
One of my best memories was, so again, you come to the New York Rangers, or the NHL in general, there's all these like characters there. Ron Duguay is obviously one of the characters. He's got the big hair. And we were on the bench one day. It must have been one of the first preseason games. And all of a sudden I'm smelling coconuts on the bench. And Doogs has got like his conditioner in there. And once he starts sweating, it's like,
you got to take care of that flow.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, when you first come to New York, though, I don't think I was in awe, but I think it was probably just more in awe. I wasn't afraid of New York City, but man, when you first come to the city, it's something pretty special, right? It was good.
It is, but I didn't look at it that way for me, because it's in me. The bigger, the better.
Yeah.
Like more people, bigger the lights. Like I actually got drafted by Winnipeg in the WHA that year.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what it would have been like. It would have been similar to being in Sudbury, my hometown. Sure. Winnipeg's kind of the same.
Yeah.
I guess that would have been fine. But for me, bigger the better. More fans, more this, more that, more lights.
Right.
It brings the best out of me to this day.
Right. And we had kind of an average season. Freddie Shero was our coach. He got fired partway through the year. Phyllis Mazzito retired partway through the year. So it wasn't a great regular season for us, but we had a really good playoff run that year. Remember, 1980, we had the big brawl against the Kings in the first round.
Well, that's it. We muscled up.
Yeah.
I mean, we may have been, other than Philly, we may have been the toughest team in the NHL to play against.
Yeah.
We got our knucklehead buddy Kotze, and then
Eddie
we got Hospodar, and we
Yeah.
got Barry Beck, and
Sure. Yourself.
and we have you, of course. But Hospodar was awesome.
Oh God, he was a nutcase. I see him now. I can't tell now whether he was nuttier back then or he's nuttier now. I just don't know what the.
Yeah, well, he keeps it. He keeps it locked in.
Yeah.
But you go back and look at that brawl against LA, and he decides he wants to give it to their goaltender, and then Marcel Dion.
Yeah.
I'm like, Eddie, can you're really going to piss people off here.
Oh, that was the classic one too. Nicky was not dressed, and he comes down out of the stands because somebody grabbed Eddie from behind off the bench, and Nicky started ragdolling the guy. It was classic.
Yeah. Why wasn't Nicky playing?
I thought he was hurt. I don't know for sure, but I thought he was hurt. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
But,
Talk about Nicky, because I've seen him recently, and people ask me, Freddie Shero kept him the year before, kept him out of the Montreal Canadiens series.
Yeah.
And people wonder, would have made a difference putting him in, because Montreal wasn't a physical team, although they had size, but they had big defensemen.
Yeah.
And could Nicky made a difference, like to intimidate a few of them, go after them, play a little bit, kind of put them on their heels a little bit?
Sure.
Because we played them, when you look at the series, it was like a nice series. Like we were playing pond hockey against a great team, which we should have turned it into more of a physical game.
Sure. Yeah.
But you can always look back and could you have done things differently?
Right. So that year, then how many more years did you have with the Rangers?
Well, I played a total of 6, and then I was brought back for 2.
That's right too. So we have that year where Freddie gets fired, and then now Herb Brooks comes in the next year. Kind of changes your career.
He did, for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for that 1 year.
Right.
It was his style of game, which was puck control, stay in motion, cycling.
Yeah.
Although we have to keep our head up with Nick Fotillo. with the cycling.
Oh God, Nicky was funny, man. He'd do things like Herbie would say, "Okay, I want you to skate hard to the bench." So Nicky would take that statement and he'd take it to the umpteenth level, right? Because he'd go flying towards the bench, stop real hard, and the snow is going all over the place. Like, look out, here comes Nicky.
Yeah,
Oh,
because the point was we have an opportunity to get on and off, and kind of there's an advantage there if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
But getting back to my first year, well, here's the thing. So I started that season off, and I had played in the Canada Cup. So I was representing Team Canada. I missed part of training camp. I think most of it. I might have played one exhibition game against Buffalo. And I show up in great shape with some confidence playing. I'm representing Canada. So I showed up there ready to go. And then I had that conversation with Herb, and he gives me Mark Pavlich. And it may have been Silky on the left side. I don't remember. I know I played with Dave for a while. Yeah. But he gives me Mark Pavlich.
Oh, you guys are good together too. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. And so he set me up to succeed. Sure. Plus his style was good for me because I was allowed to kind of leave the zone early, fly up the ice, and Pavlich would hit me, and I got a ton of breakaways that year. But it was just stay in motion, right? And puck control, give and goes. Yep. And it was really suited. Plus I think I was ready to break out. That was in my fourth year, I believe. Mm-hmm. Fifth year?
Probably
it was in my fifth year. Yep. Yeah, so I was ready to break out back then. So, but I love Herb. And the other reason I've said this the other day, someone asked me about Herb Brooks. I said, you know what? With Herb Brooks, I felt like he was the smartest coach in the NHL, and that we were well prepared.
Yep,
we were well prepared. Now, had kept that team and kind of tweak it a little bit, but also was it that year where well, that's right. Who traded Coetzee and Haspador? Did he do it?
Well, that was during that summer, so I'm sure he probably said to Craig Patrick, "I want these guys gone." Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that was probably one of his mistakes. He thought he was going to take college hockey to the NHL, and the NHL was not ready for that.
Yeah. Although we had success with the team he had, but I agree with you. If we had some more tough guys on our team, it's like I think we were there. Like when we played against Philadelphia, we would just say to each other, "Say, listen, we're not going to fight these guys. We're not going to fight them. So just don't get involved in it. Just go play." Yeah.
Make them because they would. That's right. Because we played them in the playoffs, right? We beat them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I remember that one playoff game. They tried to start a brawl, and I think the rules had changed. And I ended up getting a fight with I can't remember who it was, and I ended up getting thrown out of the game.
Right.
And but yeah, we were like, let them take penalties. We're going to power play, and we're going to outskate them and outwork them, which it worked.
Yep, totally. Yeah,
so that's why I felt like Herbie. We were really well prepared.
Yeah, totally. So what happened with you and Herb then?
Nothing.
Well, you had the good first year.
Well, when I say nothing between him and I.
Oh, I got you.
It was we never got in an argument. There was nothing. It was just that I think he, at the end of that year, he kind of would read page 6, and somehow it was rubbing him the wrong way. Although I was performing, so the next year training camp. I'm there 2 to 3 days, and Nick Fatio comes to me, says, "Hey, Doogs, Herb came and talked to me, and you look like you're out of shape." And he kind of was sending me a warning, like, don't think because you had a good year last year that you're going to get all this ice time. Well, sure enough, I started the season. I'm playing. I'm not even playing with Pav. Oh. And then he diminished my ice time, and next thing you know, I'm playing on the third line. And I wasn't getting the time I was getting. And so what he did, I ended up only scoring. I can't remember what I scored. It might have only been 19 goals.
Yeah.
And that was all him messing with me. You would think that he would have just have a conversation with me, a man to man.
Yeah.
And just, say, "Hey, Ron, I know you probably partied all summer." Yeah, I did. And let's get you back on track. Let me work with you. All right. So you just can't do that again, but let me work with you. Right. But no, it was none of that. It's like he wanted to bring my game down so he can trade me.
So he could trade you?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Well, that's what happened. He traded me in the summertime. So obviously for him to trade me, he didn't want me there. And I was, I'm not bad. I wasn't a bad teammate. I wasn't bad anywhere. You know.
No, I know you're a fantastic teammate. So yeah, that kind of baffles me. Like now that we're talking about it too, because yeah, you had the 40-goal season with him. You're playing great. You're with Pav. Pav was one of his guys. So to do what he did, yeah. I wonder if some of his too, is he trying to send a message to everybody else too? Herb was that kind of guy, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't working very well.
Yeah.
It actually made him look bad.
Yeah.
And he wasn't getting production out of me. So now I think he ended up putting Hedberg with Pav. I think I think that's what he did.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Yeah. And I can't remember. Oh, you know who was my linemate? It was McPhee and
Mike Backman.
Mike Backman.
Yeah.
And
actually, you guys had some success too.
I guess we were pretty good.
Yeah, maybe not the same way you and Pav were, but as far as getting the puck down deep and banging and crashing and creating opportunities that way.
Well, yeah, but I was like a third line checker now. I'm like, what?
I know. So when did you ultimately get traded? That summer?
It was right at the end of like in June of that, right? The following season's over. He trades me.
Right.
And yeah, so I think he just told, and that's where I'm disappointed with Craig Patrick too. Like you would have thought that Craig would have stood up for me.
Yeah, but the thing with that relationship that they had, right? With Craig was kind of like the assistant to Herb, and now all of a sudden Craig's the boss to Herb. So yeah, that was where I remember that trade happened. It's like, wow, like what is going on? Like because Herb had made so many other changes before, right? Bringing in Robbie McClanahan and Pav and Ray Wootsalainen, Billy Baker and all those guys, and Kotze's gone, Eddie's gone,
and he traded Eddie Johnson, Eddie Neo. You know, we all go to Detroit.
Yeah. So another case. So twice now in your career with the Rangers. So you go there in '79 to the finals, and now they trade 5 guys the next summer for Barry Beck. We go to the semifinals in 1980, 81, and now they trade a whole bunch of guys away again, right? That's the one thing I had this discussion before where I loved playing for the Rangers, and I know you did as well. But I wish they had kept our teams together so we could have taken a run at it, right?
Well, that's it, and that's where managers think they get a feel for the dressing room, which they don't.
Yeah.
And we've seen this before. The coaches go in there and managers will come in and mess the team up, and then they get traded. Meanwhile, they messed all these players up also at the same time.
Totally. So how many years did you have in Detroit then?
3.
And how'd that go?
He had 2 great years in Detroit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I was a point a game in Detroit. Point a game, playing with Stevie Eiserman.
Right.
Johnny O'Brien. We were one of the top lines in the NHL. So can you imagine Herb now? He's looking at me. We were one of the top lines in the NHL, other than Gretz. We might have been behind Gretz, the top line in the NHL.
Right. So now so when you leave New York after that way things went, you have your confidence shot a little bit, or you were like, no, you still believed in yourself and you knew what you could do?
Yes. Well, it was an eye opener for me also.
Right.
I'm going into my 7th year. I didn't like how things are going. And I had just met my first wife. Oh. And so I felt like, you know what, now I'm going to Detroit, right? There's nothing else to do in Detroit. So I need to make a commitment to being the best that I can be. And that's when I started changing my diet. And that was really the tipping point for me, for my health. And to this day was that getting traded. I realized that the other thing is that in my 6, I was not feeling great in the second half of that year. Like I would feel tired. So I think it was catching up to me.
Sure.
The partying and not being careful what you eat and all, and not taking supplements. And so that's when I got traded. I thought, you know what, maybe all this is happening for a reason. So I made some changes, changed my diet. Actually, I became a vegetarian for a couple of years and met my wife. And so I had asked her to marry me, had a child. So then I'm all in as a hockey player.
Okay.
And they give me Stevie Eiserman. I'm getting a ton of ice time, killing penalties, power play, and things are good as far as me personally. The team was okay, although we had Brad Park and even Daryl Sittler ended up there. Danny Gare was okay. So I enjoyed playing on that team. But again, you talk about coaches and firing coaches, finding new managers. They come in. Sure enough, in my 3rd year, that's what happened. Harry Neal comes in, the worst coach in freaking hockey.
Tell us what you really feel, Doogs. Come on.
Yeah, no. Listen, I loved Harry. Funny guy, great on TV. But as a coach, he was terrible.
Oh, is that right?
He was terrible. And sure enough, and then I think he gets fired. And then Brad Park takes over. It was a mess. It turned out to be a mess.
Right.
And then so now Pittsburgh is looking for a winger to play with Mario at the trade deadline.
Right.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when Pittsburgh trades for me. And it was a nice, even trade, both sides. I can't remember. I think it was Blaisdell that ended up to Detroit. But for me, I didn't want to leave Detroit. I kind of, I have a family. I wanted to stay, although I'm going to play with Mario. So trade deadline, go and play with Mario because they're trying to make the playoffs, and so was Detroit. And
Sure.
so having said that, I look back at the guys I've gotten to play with, from, Pav and Stevie Eiserman, and then play with Mario a little bit, play with Gretz. So I've got to play with some great players, and Tommy Laidlaw.
Yep.
Let's not forget Tommy Laidlaw.
Yeah, really. So how many years were you in Pittsburgh then?
It was just the end of
Okay. Right.
one season, which was 13 games. I was a point a game with Mario,
Right.
6 goals. And then the following year, and this is kind of a story that, that happens to players. Just odd things happen to players. So now the next year I'm getting ready to play with Mario. I get to training camp. I got 1 stick. I had asked them to order sticks, Victoriaville.
Right.
And so I get to training camp and I'm there one day, I break my stick. And I'm like, okay, where are my sticks? He says, Ron, we got bad news.
That's a bad sign. That's a bad sign right there.
Victoriaville warehouse burns down.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's not where I was going with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I have no sticks.
Wow.
I'm trying to play with Mario. And back then, we weren't really educated to our stick and the lie and this and the that.
Yeah.
And you kind of got a stick, you played with it, and you didn't quite understand it as much, maybe the weight.
Yeah.
And so now I didn't have a copy of, I didn't have a pattern.
Right.
Because now I'm going to use Sherwood. I got no pattern. I'm taking sticks off the shelf of other players. I couldn't make a pass. I couldn't receive a freaking pass. So now I'm struggling, right? 2 months into it, I'm struggling playing with Mario. And Espo had just told me, he says, Doogs, if I take over the job in New York, I'm bringing you back. Well, it worked out because I was struggling and Pittsburgh was okay with trading me.
Oh, okay.
And so that's when Espo trades me back to New York.
Right.
Well, now I go back to New York and I still don't have freaking sticks. I'm still messing around with trying to grab something. And so I kind of struggled a little bit there also. And so I think that was the end of maybe the middle of the season. The next season, I think we start up again. And I had told Espo, I said, Espo, if you get a chance to trade me to LA, please do it because my wife's from there, right? Oh. And I had gotten hurt. I got hurt. I end up going. Espo was, I heard that Espo talking needed players to go play in the minors in Colorado. And I said, Espo, I'll go. You'll go? I go, yeah, I'll go. I need to get back at you. I'll go. So I go down and it goes on waivers that I'm down, right? So Robbie Fatork's coaching in LA and he sees that I'm sent down. He's thinking there's a problem. He calls Espo. He says, Espo, would you trade Doogs? Robbie's coaching in LA.
Sure.
He goes, well, make me an offer. Espo needs a D. So they offer Hardy.
Oh, that's right. Mark Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah. So Espo took the trade. Said, Doogs, this is 3 weeks after I said something to him.
Right.
So off I go to LA. So, it's just funny how things end up.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously a compliment to you because Robbie played with you in New York, played with both of us. So now he wants you back, right? So that's what he thought of you. Yeah.
He wants me back. So I finished that year with him.
Yeah.
I have a whole other year with him.
Yeah.
You're there.
Yep.
I'm playing. Now my game's changed. I'm a defensive forward playing with Kushininsky, Tonelli.
Yeah. Well,
you know what happened that summer? Robbie says, I'll see you next year. Couldn't be happier, Ron.
Yeah.
Robbie gets fired.
There's a pattern here, Dukes.
There's a pattern here, right? And who do they bring in? Tommy Webster.
Oh, I know. God.
Who was in New York when I was in New York, struggling a little bit.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he doesn't like me. So as soon as he gets to the job, he looks at the list. I don't want Duguay.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
Yeah, right away in training camp. Remember training camp the following year, show up. Yeah. He could have told me in the summertime
that
he was going to want me.
Right.
Day 4 or 5 in training camp. And I think I'm flying in training camp. He still says, no, don't want you.
He would actually say that to you?
No, he never said that to me.
Okay.
He just, we don't have plans for you.
Okay, gotcha.
So now you're a week into training camp and you're not quite, okay, what do you do now?
Right.
right? And I still wanted to play. I'm only 32 or 33, still wanted to play. And so I got, then people find out, because the opportunities to play in Europe back then.
Right.
So I got a call to go to Germany.
Oh.
And I thought, yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, how was that?
Loved it.
Oh,
loved it. It was like playing pawn hockey. You kidding? After leaving the NHL,
right?
And it's Division I, making decent money.
Right.
The owner gave me this beautiful home with a Mercedes to drive and house, and but even at that point, I'm still didn't get my game back.
Right.
Because that whole stick thing messed me up.
Right.
And you lose your confidence, and next thing you know, on the third line. And unless someone really gives you that opportunity, you're kind of stuck there. And so my mindset said, I'm going to become a good defensive forward. And then Robbie was really good at teaching me how to do that, which was, part of it. How do you defend your end? Don't leave soon. Cover your D in a certain way and position yourself a certain way. So anyways, I kind of lost my scoring touch, although I did okay in Germany. And so that's kind of how the ball bounced for me.
Right.
Like I only played 12 years in NHL. I should have played 16.
Yeah. you made that comment to me before. Yeah. Yeah. That is true. Right? Yeah. Because once you establish yourself as a player, you think, man, you want to get the most out of it. Right.
Well, the thing is, I had the size, I had the speed. I wasn't hurt. I could still skate, go 100 miles an hour. But it was like, no, we're going with younger players. That would be the answer as I got older. Yeah. And then at the age of 34, I go to Tampa Bay's starting their season. Espo's managing. Right. Espo offered me to do, I think it was TV or radio.
Oh.
And I said, well, Espo, you know what? I really want to play. He goes, you do? Yeah. Give me a shot in training camp. He said, okay. So I gave up the other opportunity. I go to training camp flying. Right. First day, I'm crushing it. And day 2 in the exhibition game, I get hurt. Oh. Dislocated my thumb, slight separation of my shoulder, went flying into the boards. I never get hurt. And then I was out for about 2 or 3 weeks. And they decided they want to go with younger players. And then I end up taking that job on the radio. But still, now I'm 34 and I still wanted to play. Right. So
you still want to play now? You still think you can play?
Yeah.
Now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can. I'm watching. I went to the Ranger game last night, and I'm watching warm up. And if there was anything, there's not like there's a lot of things that I would really, 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 really want, right? Because I've had a good life. But to step on the ice, to do one more warm up as a New York Ranger, get myself in great shape, just to do warm up, to get that feeling, and maybe do one shift in the game. Right. My God, that would be, to me, that would end things, and it would be like, wow.
Well, you kept playing, Ron. You were playing late, for pretty recently, actually, right? 10 years ago, you're still playing a little bit?
Well, I've never stopped playing because I always do alumni games. But yeah, I played at the age of 52, was it? When I played a couple games in a minor. There was a minor league.
And you were coaching and playing a couple times too, right? Like player coach? Weren't you player coach?
Yeah, I did that in Jacksonville before I became a coach. Right. Before I became a coach, I played 6 games because I was playing in the men's league, and I was in, back then. I mean, I'm always keeping my legs strong, and so I played 6 games, and I just enjoy it.
So Doogs, when we play in alumni games, they usually put Doogs and I on opposite teams because we're the most best shape of all the old fat guys. So I tell all the guys on the team, I said, listen, one thing we got to do, not let Ron Duguay score during the game. Don't let him score. And Doogs is still competitive too, right? So it's funny at first, early in the game, he's joking around the whole bit. By the end of the game, he's taking slap shots. He's going to score no matter what.
Yeah. Well, you know what that comes from? That comes from me being unsatisfied with my career. I feel like I need to score another goal. I need to score another goal. That's being unsatisfied. When I left the game, I didn't leave it on my terms. That's where it comes from. Yes, I'm competitive, but for a while, I would play right after, I would play these celebrity games, and I'd be going hard, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, you Ron, you need to slow down. You're taking." Well, I couldn't help it.
I know.
I had to prove something to myself.
You did take it easy on Bernie Parent, though, in the alumni game.
Yeah, no, I know.
That
missed goal is probably the most important missed goal in my career.
Yeah. You're being a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I run into Flyer fans now, and when they hated me, they love me now.
Yeah. So people don't know, we were playing an alumni game and Bernie Perrant was in. And, first of all, he's an older gentleman now, hasn't played a whole lot. He was a hero there in Philadelphia where the game was. And Doogs gets a breakaway. Now, he could have gone in and scored, but he was very nice. He shot it into his pads. And I think Bernie was very thankful, too, right, that you shot it into his pads. He came up and said something. So.
Well, yeah. And I'm assuming he knew that I did that because I didn't make it look like, I kind of looked like I was shooting, but I flipped it.
Yeah.
In the middle of his pads. And you know what's funny about that? Remember our coach was Mike Keenan.
Oh, yeah, what a jerk.
Yeah. So Mike, he shortens the bench. Dave Maloney not playing a third period. Yeah. And anyway, so I'm the last one to leave with Mike because Mike and I have become friends. And
that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot you guys were friends when I called him a jerk. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, Mike's Mike.
Yeah.
But he is fun. So we're leaving the dressing room at the end of the game. And Mike is like, we lost 3-1, right? And Mike's like, he's talking about the game and it would have been nice to win for obvious reasons for him.
Right.
And he goes, yeah, if you had scored that on that opportunity breakaway. And he was completely serious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he goes, but I understand why you did what you did.
Right. But he wanted to win still, for himself.
He F-bombed Tom at that game, too.
So, at the end of the second period, I've been playing a lot, and we had like 20 defensemen, playing. So I went into him. He was standing there with Mike Richter in another room, and I said, listen, I've got a lot of ice time. If you want to get some of these other guys on the ice, please do. He goes, he says, I'll decide who plays on the effing ice or whatever, something like that.
Hey, Tom, so we should talk to our listeners about Celly Salt. What a great product. I tried it for the first time last night. I know you use it all the time.
It's one of the reasons I'm such a great cook because Celly Salt, that's right.
Celly Salt comes in 3 flavors. It's created by 2 hockey moms.
Yep.
I personally tried this salt, garlic, and pepper mix. And oh, my God, on a bagel with avocado, it was amazing.
Right. So it's Pam Auger and then Lou Cannon. I like to call it a loose cannon. So they develop their own salts. They make it out of their own garage. They package themselves. So they're good. And they're real go-getters, too. They're fun people to be around. Yeah.
They have 3 products. They have Celly Salt. They have the Puckin' Hot spicy salt. They have the Chirpin' Herb. And it's a great product. Our listeners, if anyone wants to purchase it on their website, cellysalt.com, they can use code FULLCHANGE. You get 10% off. And I loved it. I tried it, like I said, for the first time. It was amazing. I know you use it all the time.
And it's lower sodium, too, because when you use regular salt, it's just salt. So in their mixture, there's salt, pepper, and then whatever else. They put garlic in it or else paprika.
Wow.
Yes, that was a hard one to say.
Cellysalt.com. Use the coupon code FULLCHANGE.
Paprika.
There you go.
All right, so Doogs, so your career is done. You've tried played. You're in Europe, played a whole lot. You expressed how much you still enjoy playing, still want to play. But what else have you done? I know you did a lot of TV work with the Rangers there for many years too, right?
Yeah, I did 12 years of MSG TV.
Right.
Kind of the face and the voice of the New York Rangers, which I really enjoyed. Sure. It took me about 4 years to really feel comfortable doing that because, you wouldn't think that because, I could do an interview all day long. I can talk hockey, but when you're doing it as a job and there's technique to it, and you have to work by seconds, you got a producer in the ear, and you got to condense your answers. You got 30 seconds. It took me a while. It took me a good 4 years to feel comfortable.
Sure.
And there were times that I'd be sitting there and I'd be looking at Al Trodwick, and I'm getting ready, and it's like getting ready to go on the air, and I sit there, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it's me sitting here talking Rangers.
Really?
It could be a lot of people. Yeah, I would pinch myself like, wow, it's really special. Maybe because at the beginning I didn't quite have I knew I could do it, but maybe not the confidence in myself like I needed to.
Right.
But towards the end, I got it because I would get, once I got better at it, I got a lot of compliments from the fans, how they appreciated me. So then it builds your confidence. Now you feel like, okay, I belong.
Yeah.
But at the beginning,
I said this earlier in the show too, really, and I mean it's a compliment to your, maybe it's not a compliment either way, but it's not an insult, certainly, that you really didn't talk that much in the locker room. Like you weren't a real talkative guy. So when I saw you start doing the TV and the radio, I thought, wow, he's really stepping out. And again, it wasn't like you didn't talk at all, but it wasn't like you were one of the talkative guys in the locker room. Huh?
I was not. And it certain things happened to me at the end of my career where it kind of took me out of my comfort zone. I started to speak more, and I think part of it is just It's understanding. Here's one thing: understanding. Unless you got something good to say, you're better off just staying quiet.
Yeah, you don't have to talk. Yeah,
you don't have to talk. And I was, I was more or less listening and learning,
right,
and a little bit. I would say a little bit shy. I don't know if it was shy. Yeah, I guess I would say shy. I just very careful of what I say. Like, I don't want to say something that may not come out right.
Right. See, my problem, Doogs, is that I think everything I say is important. So, right.
Yeah, well, everyone stops and listens to Tom. That's why people follow you at the Garden.
Yeah.
Tom's going to say something at any time that's going to be so profound. They're going to be able to use this for the rest of my life.
Well, just wait 5 minutes. He'll tell you again.
Yeah.
I'm starting to tell stories over and over all the time. And even when somebody reminds me that I'm telling the story, I have to power through it. I have to say it again. So,
yeah.
Second time you said that story today.
Well, that's confidence.
Yes, it is. You got to believe in yourself. Totally. Yeah. So then you did the podcast with the New York Post, correct?
Yes. Did that for 2 seasons, which I really enjoyed because a different format.
Yeah.
And I was able to be able to control the show. Let's say you do have a producer, as you do. Yeah. But pretty much it was me and my show. Yeah. Versus someone else's show. So I did that for 2 seasons with the great Larry Brooks and Molly Walker, and you would be our guest. And so I really enjoyed doing that for 2 seasons. Yes. Right. And the other thing is that in between that, I was mentoring kids in the schools in the Bronx.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that project. Yes.
Yeah. I did that for 2 seasons with Stefan Matteau.
Yep.
And that was a whole other thing that I didn't know I had it in me. Just like coaching. I coached 4 years. Right. You missed that part. I coached 4 years in the minors.
That's right.
And if you look at my numbers, it wasn't easy because minors are difficult for different reasons, but I ended up winning a championship.
Oh.
Yeah, in the minors. I won as a player, won a championship when I played for the San Diego Gulls.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I won a championship there as a player, and as a coach, I did it in the minors also, which I was hoping that would lead to something bigger and better. Right. Here's another thing that happened to me. So I win. Donnie Maloney is managing the Rangers at the time. Right. So I was looking, after I'd done that for about 4 years, I felt like, I'm ready to move up. So I had talked to Donnie about possible opportunity. He goes, Ron, I know you're doing well, because they had given me a couple of their players. Wow. And so I helped them and become better players. And so Donnie says, you know what? I'm seriously considering you to coach the American Hockey League team in Hartford.
Well,
great. I'll call you. We'll talk in the next month. Donnie gets fired.
You know what it is, Dukes? I think people being associated with you getting fired, I think you're the problem.
Yeah, you talk about good breaks, bad breaks, and then Schoenfeld takes over, and I think he ended up coaching, I believe.
Yeah. And
so that kind of got squashed. And after that, I didn't want to go back to coaching in the minors at the level I was at, and that's when I had the opportunity to do TV. Okay. And I got the job. They wanted to interview me. I got the job right away, and I did 12 years there. So I thought I'd just back up on you because you missed a couple of parts.
Yeah. Yeah, good job. Good job. One last question for me, Dukes. Have you you've had a fantastic life so far. You got a long way to go still. Great playing career, all the stuff you've done off the ice. Any regrets at all?
Wow. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, because I have disappointments of not having, as I mentioned, not played long enough, but regrets. I don't think so. I no, because I would think if I had regrets, I would think about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not one to really live in the past too much on things I may have done wrong. Yeah. There are small things, but not in a big way, because I always felt like I always worked hard. I was always prepared. Sure. I trained, try to be the best I can be most of the time. May have partied less. Do I regret?
Nah. Look at that
really.
History, though. No, we didn't really talk about it. Look at that history.
That's not a regret. I don't think. Yeah, we live life all out, right? Like that's your life. When I look at Ron Duguay, I would say that you lived your life all out.
Ron had a lot of friends.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah. And I post them all on my kitchen cabinets too.
Yeah. So no regrets.
But what about your current situation, Ron? Because your current friend is very it's kind of different dynamic for you, right?
You're talking about Sarah Palin, my friend Sarah Palin.
Yes.
Yes. So Sarah and I, it's been a year almost to today, in December, that we met, And so that relationship has been different because of the lane that she's in, which is politics. And politics nowadays is ugly. And Sarah's she's famous because of what she went through running as vice president. So she draws a lot of attention, and which I'm fine with. It's just a different type of relationship. She's a very unique woman, different and very smart lady. And so that's what I'm going through now.
Very good.
Spending a lot of time in Alaska.
A lot of mystery Alaska.
Yeah. Yes.
And I give you credit too. Some guy named Ron Greshner. We had a bet that the over under was like 1 month on that relationship, and we were wrong.
Yeah,
and I'm glad to say we were wrong too. That's good. We're very happy.
Yeah. No, in a lot of ways we're compatible. Yeah. But only time will tell what happens.
Yeah, you spend the same amount of time in the bathroom getting ready in the morning, like getting the hair done and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what's nice. I did a makeover on myself about 5 years ago with the hair. So the hair thing is much easier now. I don't need a hair dryer.
Yeah,
the hair's though. Come on, the hair's impressive, even to this day.
Mine, you're talking my hair?
No, not yours.
Oh, okay.
Do you and Henrik, like when you guys meet up, do you like see who's better looking? Do you guys fight it out?
No, it's funny. I've watched Henrik from a distance. I've been around him a little bit. We've had a few drinks. I've gotten to know him a little bit, but no, it's not like we run in the same circles.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Doogs, listen, I mean this very seriously. I was a teammate with you twice, once in New York and once in LA. You're a fantastic teammate. We talk about the fun times and the party and all that kind of stuff. But the guy I remember always showed up for practice, always showed up for every game. Great team player, stuck up for his teammates, scored goals, did a lot of things. So you had a fantastic career, brother.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's always good to hear because as I mentioned, I'm a little disappointed with my career, but I went hard when I did.
Yes, you did. Lived all out. Listen, thank you very much for coming on the show. You did a fantastic job. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, Ron.
Later.
Oh, that was Duguay. Was just a great episode. I mean, the guy's a legend for on and off the ice, but you were swept up in all that. Well, you didn't really spend a lot of time with him off the rink in the heyday, right?
Yeah, it's funny. We talk about him being such a partier and everything, and he was a professional partier. He was very good at it, but he was a great teammate too. Like he was really like a guy that would battle it out in the trenches, fight for his teammates, score goals. So that's how a great athlete too. So, and it's funny. We talked about the show a little bit. We were all partying at that time. Right. He was just on page 6. So that was the difference, but he was a great teammate.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, good-looking guy. He had those looks. He's perfect for that at that time. So yeah, legend, and that was a great interview.
Yeah, he's got a great person. It's funny because he really didn't talk that much. We touched on the show. He really talked much when he played. He's certainly talking a lot now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Grasshoppers. Thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.
Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, unlocking the power of Thinkorswim, the award-winning trading platforms loaded with features that let you dive deeper into the market. Visualize your trades in a new light on Thinkorswim desktop with robust charting and analysis tools, all while you uncover new opportunities with up-to-the-minute market news and insights. Thinkorswim is available on desktop, web, and mobile to meet you where you are. It's built by the trading obsessed to help you trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.